So Allah Ta'ala has presented a threat against the one who speaks about Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala without knowledge. And for those of you, mashallah, who may have studied like ilm al-hadith, we used to have people in the past who used to narrate hadith that were false, intending to do something good. So they would say something with its meaning to be something good, but the hadith was false. So the muhaddithin, they didn't say, well, this shaykh, his intention was good, so, we should accept this hadith or anything. No. Rather, they branded these people as those people who are false, and they have spoken lies against Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because in this culture today, people find it very easy, very light, khafif, very easy to say things about Allah and His Messenger, but yet they have no knowledge of it. Or there's no one who has preceded them in saying those things for which they are saying. And I have said this before, today Islam has become commercialized. And you have to look at the channels, more and more people, they're not spreading the deen for deen's sake, but they're spreading it for their own desires and their own wealth and for their own fame. But when you look at what they're saying, none of these things that they are saying have any basis. It's all conjecture with no knowledge whatsoever. Anyone who has a thawb and a beard, they put him on there. And now they don't even care if they have a thawb and a beard. As long as you say Salaam Alaikum, you can give some fatwas, no problem. As long as you have the label Muhammad, they look at your passport, Muhammad, Ahmad, whatever. Yalla akhi, we got a space for you on Q&A, if you can just perhaps answer some questions for the brothers and sisters. So 1 week you have, riba is halal, then next week riba is haram. Then the following week you say, it's okay, bid'ah hasana, it's okay, then the next week you say, bid'ah is haram. So the people are confused. Why? What's the reason? It's this ayah that Allah Ta'ala is saying. That they are speaking about Allah, and therefore by Allah we mean His deen, His Prophet, His Sharia, without any knowledge. Without any knowledge. So it's very important that we are very careful about what we say, and that we are not quick to give fatwas. And I remember a story of some brothers who had related to me of when Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah ta'ala was alive, that when he was asked a question, he used to point to his students to answer the question rather than him answering it himself. Sheikh bin Baz, alim, kabir, he was from our ulama, from the greatest of our ulama. But yet he used to prefer not answering the question and used to ask his student. And of course his student, they would be shy in front of Sheikh bin Baz, and they would pass it to the next student, and then the next student, and it will come back, and then it will come back to Sheikh bin Baz, and Sheikh bin Baz will answer the question. This shows you, what does it show you? The humility and how fearful they were of saying something about the deen of Allah hastily. And there's another narration of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he was asked, and I paraphrase, a question about the deen, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said, upon which cloud do I hide when I speak about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yani he's that scared of saying something about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he said, how am I going to hide from something like this? And if you look through the stories of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the Atba Tabi'een, many of them, would be fearful of saying something about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, there is a narration of Ibn Wahd, who died in 198 Hijrah, said, I heard from Malik saying, there was not from the affair of the people, nor from amongst those who have passed from our Salaf, nor from anyone who I have known as an example, saying about something, this is lawful, and this is lawful, and they were not bold upon that. They would only say, we dislike this, and we say that this is good. So they were fearful of making halal and haram. This is what they're saying here. They would not say this is halal, and this is haram. Rather they would say that we dislike this, or we see this as something good. And Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, say, do you see what Allah has set down as sustenance, and you have made it lawful and unlawful? Say, has Allah permitted you, or do you invent a lie against Him? And they were acting upon this ayah of the Quran. So, we have to be incredibly mindful about what we say. Now, in order for us to do that, so that's the problem. So what's the remedy? The remedy is each one of us has to be a talib al-ilm. Each one of us has to be a person who is seeking knowledge in some way, shape or form. And I found this article by Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Sheikh, which subhanAllah was, if you like, in a nutshell, Sheikh Abdul Aziz, he has given us what we should be doing in order for us to be those who start to speak about the deen of Allah with some knowledge. Or we start to take the steps towards seeking knowledge of Allah and His deen. So the Shaykh, he says, the student of knowledge must have the following necessary and binding characteristics and attributes in his quest for attaining knowledge. So the disease in our ummah is that we have people who speak without knowledge. So what's the cure? Is what I'm saying now. Is we have to be students of knowledge. So what is the characteristics? So these are the characteristics that we, all of us, me, everyone, has to try to adopt so that they can start to increase themselves in knowledge. The first one, without a shadow of doubt, the first and greatest of these characteristics is that he must be sincere to his Lord when seeking knowledge. That he must be sincere in seeking this knowledge for nothing other than the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We find there are groups and parties today. And I'll give you an example of one. If we take the party like Hizb ut-Tahrir, for example, their manhaj or their methodology is that they learn the knowledge for argumentation. This is why they learn it. They want to have the knowledge not so that they benefit from it so they get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they do it so that they are able to defeat you in argument. This is their purpose. For those of you who have ever spoken to them, that's what you'll see. You'll talk to them about Tawheed, and what they'll do is they won't speak to you about Tawheed in a way of learning, but they'll debate with you immediately. It's the first thing that comes out with you, a debate. I want to have a debate with you now. Why? Because my objective of the knowledge that I've sought is to defeat you. So obviously the easiest thing you say, Ya akhi, you defeated me, now let's get on to the topic.